Welcome back to Almost Above Average. I am Chris McIntyre, as always, here with J Train McDougal's, ready to jump into this Venezuelan kidnapping plot that we did. And I also wanted to touch on this Nick Shirley video that's been going viral across the world. I heard it's got like over 120 million views or something like that. But
Yep.
I have currently made two videos kind of debunking Nick Shirley's video. And if you check on them back in on YouTube, they're currently getting ratioed. So that, the videos that I made were I looked for all the facts that I could find, the hard facts that I could find, and I wanted to push back a little bit on his videos because he goes in there and he draws all of these blanket conclusions based on very, very little evidence and one person. I can't remember who he is in the city. But that whole thing in Minnesota, I what I found is that there is fraud happening, but it's not at the scale that this gentleman has kind of brought to light. Have you looked at any of this video, J Train? Have you seen anything on this?
I watched a decent amount of it, and there's a lot of stuff in there that just feels like it's sensationalized without actually bringing like the level of reporting I would expect out of like a CBS, NBC, CNN, or even a Fox News, to be honest.
Yeah, I got a lot more respect for like Fox News and just journalism in general based on this report because I found looking at what he said and what he did, there's not really a whole lot of evidence. It's all anecdotal and it's a lot of feelings. It's mostly feelings and vibe.
Well, there's a lot of so I watched part of it where he's going around and trying to go, see, this is this place, and there's nobody here. And it's like, that's an office building. It could be an office. And he goes, well, this is a daycare and they're closed. It's like, well, yeah, it could be like 7 o'clock in the evening. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what the
Could be
expectation
Sunday.
is. And then there's this other one. It's like, see, they have an open sign, but the door's not open. It's like, well, what time of day is it? Can you show me your watch? Can you like, is there, what's going on? He's got all these reports about the money coming through, but where are the parents that are supposedly going there and then like channeling, checking with them? Like, does your kid actually go here? Did he sit there all day and surveil the place on a day that they're supposed to be open? Did he go in and see the rooms with all the empty kids? There's a lot of
So much nuance that is
exposure journalism expectations that I didn't get out of the video, but I also will say I did not watch the entire 40 and 35 seconds.
I
And
did
I
not
have
either. And
to,
I'll tell you the reason I even made these videos because I watched that video and my first reaction was, my God, how come nobody on the left is talking about this? And I was kind of thinking, I'm like, I'll be that guy. I'll be the one on the left that's actually going to talk about this. And so I started doing some research, and then other creators started coming out with stuff like Adam Mockler, and I think everyone's probably done a piece on him at this point. But it's not any of us saying that he didn't find fraud. I think all that I'm trying to say in the videos is like, hey man, let's analyze everything that he's talking about first. Because it seems like the entire internet, everybody on Instagram in my comments right now, you guys are all lit up. I don't even think you watched the fucking video. Because I wasn't promoting fraud in Minnesota. I wasn't saying that that stuff wasn't happening at all. I didn't say anything like that in any of those videos that I made. All I said was, here's the facts. Here's what has been reported. Here's what happened after the video. That's all I was saying.
there's, yeah, there's like, I'm not saying that people don't commit fraud. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there's a lot of questions I have. Like that I watched the whole intro and he goes, this is David. He found fraud. David who? What companies do you represent? Are they private investigators? Are they researchers? Like, what's his organization? No, what I got was some guy calling himself David in a room with a bunch of shit tacked up on a wall. No logos, no labels, no nothing on his shirt to indicate his business. Like absolutely no credentials, credibility to him working for any organization, any skill set, any knowledge set, or any connection to why he was doing this. Oh, I just drove by these places and they were empty. So obviously it's fraud. It's like, okay, so now I'm seeing where it's going. A boomer with nothing. Like initial impressions was, oh, there's a boomer with nothing to do and he's creating a conspiracy theory, like the lady who thinks there's poison in the water because there's rainbows in the sprinkler. Like it's
Well, when
that
he's
level
trying
of
to
crazy
explain
to
it,
me.
that David guy, when he's trying to explain it, like, I get some racial overtones in how he speaks. He's like,
Well,
"The
even if
Somalis
we
are a
leave
closed community. They're you can't talk to them."
Yeah,
It's like,
well, even if I leave the racism part of it out, it's like, okay, so how are you getting in this information? How are you validating it? Who are you working with? What are the police saying? Are you working with any law enforcement organizations? If you've uncovered $9 billion in fraud, where's the legal investigation into this? Who are the, like, where's the interview with the detectives or the fraud and with the, like, no, it's just one dude in a room and you're going around and talking. Like, honestly, some of this stuff felt like he had hired actors to come in and pretend to be the people working at these centers. Like, the whole thing just feels wrong and fishy and like anything you expect out of journalists would have is not here. This doesn't feel like the whole thing feels wrong. And I can't feel comfortable with him just interviewing a guy named David who supposedly uncovered $9 billion in fraud, but like there's no links, there's no documentation, there's no website for us to go and review anything. There's like nothing go, and then everybody else is like, no, he's full of shit. Like, where's the big blow ups on Fox News where they've done it? Like, where's the rest? Like the
right,
whole other half of this, any actual integrity into journalism and research is just not showing up.
right. His real journalism, he it seems like he already had the story and then he went to capture things to prove that story. Like he already had it in his head and he was like, all right, there's fraud in Minnesota. Let's go find it. Versus, all right, there's reported fraud in Minnesota. Let's go down every avenue of evidence and see if what kind of fraud has actually happened because there's already investigations underway for some of the things he was talking about in that video where if he would have done the research, go talk to the investigators, see where they're at in the investigation, you know? Like there is things happening, but to paint the whole picture as the Somalis are guilty of fraud because there's no kids in these daycares on these days that I went there, that is so disingenuous and dishonest. That's all I was trying to say in those videos. So you guys in my comments right now, you can suck a fucking dick. All right.
And let's be honest, like, you show up with a freaking camera to a daycare center. Are they going to give you the time of day? No.
Nor should they. Come to my
Should they
business
let
with a
you
bunch of
in
cameras, dude.
to
You're not
interview
coming in.
kids illegally without the parents' consent or being present? Are you a police officer? Do you have a warrant?
Yeah.
Do you have a right to their information? I don't know.
One good thing did come about it, though. Did you see that? I think it was like a city councilman or someone who makes decisions on giving money in that community. They put something in place to where when they request money, they have to get photo evidence of whatever they're requesting money for, which is good. I mean, that happened because of the video, but the video is very dishonest and disingenuous. So, you know, where are
I
we
mean,
supposed
the
to go to
guy
get
even
news
had
back?
the cops called on him during this.
Who he did?
Yeah, there's a whole scene in here around the 30-minute mark where people there called him because he was acting crazy enough that somebody wanted to call the cops on him.
Man, maybe I should
And the
dig into the whole
police
video.
escorted him out of the building.
Interesting.
I mean, this guy kind of feels crazy, to be honest. Now, did he stumble onto a major conspiracy? I mean, if he did, I'm going to go and do the exact same thing that every Democrat has talked about with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
If they're dirty, burn them.
Right.
Lock them up. If
Right.
these people committed crimes, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, follow the law system, put them in jail if they actually did it. If the police or FBI or whoever can investigate and find actual fraud, go for it, man.
Yeah.
And if the city councilman or whoever it was is in on the gag, there's no Democrat that I know of that's going to be like, nah, man, she's a Democrat. Nah, nah, burn them to the ground metaphorically with prison time, not legally, not literally. Good Lord.
I
I have
did a
to
little
say these
research.
things now.
I did a little research on that guy, and there was another creator. He made this video. He went to Ukraine and made a bunch of content over there. And in one of these videos, I guess one of his Ukraine viral videos, you see him walking down in like downtown Kiev, and the camera shot is like a really nice luxury car next to a really nice city center water fountain. Like it's a very nice place. And the caption is is like, wonder where all our American tax dollars are going. And every scene, his face is like this. He's like,
Right.
like
Sensational,
clearly
chin
painting a
wide.
picture that we are paying for luxury people in Ukraine. Like that's the kind of disingenuousness that is in that video. He got called out for his Ukraine video on another piece that I watched, and the guy was like, why were you insinuating that the US is spending tax money on luxury stuff?" He's like, "I wasn't insinuating. It was like it's satire. It was more like satire." It's like,
And back
dude,
to the standard thing of, oh, we're going to present the thing as journalism when it's actually satire, commercial entertainment. So that was the same argument that who was it? Oh yeah, Tucker Carlson and Fox News used to try to get out of a lawsuit. No rational person would believe that this is actual news. I think is the line they presented to the courts to get out of a lawsuit about lying on TV on a show that was supposedly called news.
yeah. No reasonable person would think this is news. That's what Fox News said.
But I mean, at the same time, we do know that there is massive corruption in Ukraine. And
Yeah.
I've had many people that have lived there, have been there, have been around it, tell me about these crazy stories.
Hmm.
Like one guy told me about he was there and the local police basically were following. They're going to shake him down. And if he didn't pay them, then kidnap him and shake him down at the kidnapping. This is what the guy told me. I don't know how true it is. That's just what he told me.
Yeah.
And he had to duck into a place in order to be protected by the people that were bribing the higher level cops. And he knew about it. Like all these crazy stories I've heard. But I mean, those are just stories.
Mhm.
However, if you remember correctly, wasn't one of the generals or something in Ukraine recently arrested for corruption because he was doing some shady stuff too?
Ooh, I did
So,
not hear about that.
yeah, like I've had many different sources talk about corruption in Ukraine. And
I
what
think that was
happens in
almost
war
expected.
zones? Corruption. If you go back and look at the Nazis during World War II, there was massive corruption amongst the different high ranking people and people on the streets getting laws broken because they were paying money. Like how much art was smuggled out of there? How much art was stolen from families? How many families got destroyed so they could grab their goods? Like shit happens in war zones.
Yeah,
But bringing
absolutely.
it back to here, man, I hope that if he's lying and he's doing bad stuff, that they go after him. And I hope anybody that is committing fraud against the US government or the Minnesota government or whatever level you want to go for, I hope the investigation finds him and roots him out because stealing money from kids is functionally what they're claiming.
Right.
That's not cool. That ain't cool a little bit.
No one's
Put them
cool with
all,
that. Like, we're all on board, you
put
know?
all the people who broke the law by committing fraud. I hope they all go to jail regardless of their public affiliations, nationalities, or anything.
Me also. And I think that's the same, like, for most of the left. I think we all kind of feel like that. Like, it doesn't matter if they're on our side, technically. I don't think the left is my side. Like, I don't consider, like, the left being my team. You know what I mean? I tend to view more left
Yeah,
leaning.
this isn't left versus right for the left. It's legal versus illegal. It's right versus wrong. And I think that's a huge difference in my mind.
That was
Yeah,
brilliant.
people are like, well, what was that I heard Fox News talking about? Well, some of these 18-year-old or 15-year-olds look like they're 18, so it's okay if they're 13. I'm like, wait, what? What did
Yeah.
you just say?
Right.
And they're making excuses for under 18-year-old girls being, assaulted and worse by people on that list. And I'm like, no, no, no. If it's a hoax, then root out the people that did the hoax. If it's not a hoax, then how can it if it's a hoax, how's it going to hurt Democrats worse than Republicans? If it's not a hoax, why aren't we going after everybody on this list? Like, and I think the same logic applies here. Hey, if there's people committing fraud, investigate them, charge them, convict them, move on. Regardless of anything else that you could say. Did they commit fraud? Then that's all we need to know to prosecute them.
Yeah. I don't care if they're female, male, gang member, Democrat,
Somalian, American, born, whatever,
special
Democrat,
needs.
Republican, what doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
sounds like to me there's a possibility of somebody committing crimes. That's what the police are for. That's what the FBI is for. Let them go after it.
Right. And they
And
were pretty much aware of the fraud already.
most people don't know this. Most I think every state, or at least most states, have a bureau of investigation that is specifically designed to be able to handle things like this. North Carolina has one. California has one. A lot of states have them. I'm sure Minnesota has something like that. Minnesota Bureau of Investigations or something. Bring it up to them. Put like, you don't think these people have these videos and are starting to go, wait, what's going on, and trying to get the real information? Cool.
Their excuse is going to be, well, we can't trust them then. We can't trust them. It's like, well,
Wow, we
then,
can't then vote better.
right. All right. So there is potential fraud going on in Minnesota. I acknowledge that. My videos didn't say anything besides that. Like there is some fraud going on. Nick Shirley's video
Wait,
didn't
how
do
do
it
you know there's fraud
justice.
going on? Like, how do you know
There's
that?
two
Like,
investigations. Okay, there's alleged fraud going on. There's two investigations active right now.
sure. And
So
then
it's
let's
alleged.
also do the baby with the bathwater analogy. So, my understanding is the US government is going to be halting any funding of any daycares in Minnesota holistically, not just the ones on this list,
Mhm.
not just the ones that are run by certain people, but across the whole state, right? Wasn't that it? So, this is the whole, if the bathwater gets dirty, throw the baby and the water away, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Well, hold on. Why don't we just stop the ones that are under investigation? What if we send out special investigators to actually go check these places, and the people that actually have kids, they keep their funding? Why isn't there any discretionary investigation prior to shutting off the money? Why
Well,
are we all or
they all
nothing
have
it?
inspections every 6 months. So, like, even the ones he was talking about have been inspected recently, you know?
Well, were they inspected for quality of care, or were they inspected in observation of actual attendance and attendance validated? What
Not
does the
sure.
inspection mean?
Not sure what type of inspection it was. I think it was a funding inspection to make sure that the money was going there right. Don't quote me on that.
Well, if the money is going into the daycare center or adult daycare or whatever it is, it's not, then it sounds like just a bad business versus, but if the money, in my mind, the way I would see it is, if you're going to investigate that 30 kids are getting their funding from the government, then we should be checking these 30 kids to make sure the quality is sufficient for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it a failure in execution on the investigation, or is it a failure of nobody's actually checking it? They're just rubber
The state
stamping it, moving
oversight,
on.
right.
Yeah, like maybe we need to change the investigation. I don't know. But nonetheless, I'm back to the, if you commit fraud, good luck in
Yep.
court.
Me too. If you committed fraud, I want you to be prosecuted. Absolutely. I don't care who you are. All right.
Yeah.
Minnesota fraud. Let's move on to topic number 2. Apparently, we went into another country, we started bombing a bunch of shit, and we stole their leader and his wife and took them back to New York. Have
And
you heard this,
charging them.
J Train?
Oh, yeah. This is the topic that has me actually the most nervous of anything we've done in the last 6 months. So we took over the airspace of a sovereign country. We started killing people in boats from that sovereign country. We started capturing oil
Oil
tankers
tankers.
in lieu of reference to that sovereign country. And then we bombed that sovereign country and killed people, probably. And then we sent in our people into this sovereign country without a declaration of war, under the guise of corruption and drugs and all this kind of stuff. And what is the very next announcement that Trump talks about as soon as he goes, I'm announcing that we took Moderno. And guess what we're going to do next? What was the next thing on that comment stream?
Cuba or Greenland?
Neither. About the oil.
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
So everybody go look at the video. He goes, we got Moderno, and and I have contacted the oil companies, and they are going to spend billions of dollars to rebuild the infrastructure so that they can make money. Well, wait, who can make money? The
Us.
oil companies. So let's do a little daisy chain connect. Do you remember Trump before the election telling the oil companies, if you donate to my campaign, I'll make sure you get a nice reward on the other side?
Hmm. I don't remember that.
Like it was during one of his rallies. He said, hey, oil companies, if you want to give me some money, I'll make sure I get it right with you, or something along those lines. They donated $1 billion, and he gave them a country.
I guess he's a man of his word.
To the people that give him money, sure.
Yeah, that's probably it. He's
And
probably
did
loyal.
he or did he not just pardon a drug lord?
Yeah, the president of Honduras.
He pardoned that guy, right?
He was convicted of bringing 500, was it 500 tons of cocaine into America? If he's really about stopping the drugs, that doesn't
Why
make
is he
any sense at all.
pardoning a guy that brought drugs into the country, but then kidnapping a guy he's accusing of bringing drugs in the country? Is that the same thing? I'm confused, maggot. What's the difference? One of them bribed Trump, the other had oil.
Right.
What was the joke I heard today? If you have a big oil reserve and no nukes, you no longer own your country, according to this new doctrine,
The
the
Don
Monroe Doctrine.
the Don Roe doctrine, he's been calling it.
Dunroe. So the Monroe Doctrine is what he's referencing, and it talks about doing like taking over
Policing the hemisphere.
hostile leaders.
Isn't it like policing the hemisphere? The Monroe doctrine?
Basically, it's about going in and taking out threats to the United States, is what it ultimately comes down to, is how I read it. And he's
Venezuela was
calling
not a
it the
threat to the United
Dunroe
States.
because it's done. He did it,
Oh,
right?
I thought it was Don Roe because he's Donald Trump.
No, he changed the Monroe to the Dunroe because it's done. He done it.
He is a douchebag.
Anyway, but then they took the vice president and we're going to, or something like the Venezuelan Supreme Court made the vice president a president or something like that. And
Yeah,
now he's threatening that person
the number
if you
2 in
don't do,
line.
yeah. So he's threatening anybody that is in the leadership of that country that if you don't do business with us, you're going to have the same thing happen to you. That's that sounds like it's not about the drugs. That sounds like it's about the business. When you won't do business with us, he's talking about business. That's about the oil. It's not about the drugs. Because Monroe, or not Monroe, what's the guy's name that got kidnapped? I'm blanking right now.
Maduro?
Moderno,
Maduro.
Maduro made a public statement that says, I'm willing to work with them on the issues with the oil and the drugs. And then, like 2 days later, we kidnap his ass.
Yeah.
So,
They didn't
I
even
mean,
call it a war operation. They're calling it a legal operation. They're trying to avoid wartime language.
now this is the part that scares me is they don't care if it's legal or illegal. In fact, numerous different people are starting to come out saying this is illegal, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to say if it is or isn't, but stepping into a country and kidnapping their president sets a bad precedent for us because now Cuba's on the line. Now they're threatening Cuba. Now they're threatening Greenland, which doesn't have a president in the country of Greenland because Greenland's a part of Denmark. So he's threatening the president of Denmark. And is Denmark a part of NATO? Yes. So we go kidnap the president. If Trump decides to order the CIA and the FBI and the military and all those to work together to go kidnap the president of Denmark, we will have attacked NATO.
And
That
we're
will be a
toast. We're
violation
toast
of
at that point.
NATO.
All the
Huh?
friends that we created in World War II are they're already hating us.
If
The
you don't
UN had an
think
emergency meeting today about us.
that they will come after us with everything they got, you are crazy.
You know, we may be the strongest military fighting force on the planet, but we still can't compare it to multiple nations banding together.
Yeah, the supremacy of numbers, right?
Right.
But you got to understand, like, I don't know that we are the dominant fighting force anymore. With the technological capabilities having shifted from the United States to China, and the idea of boots on ground being the dominant force in this world with drones and chemical weapons and biological weapons and satellites, like, people are really not understanding what war is anymore. And this is one of the things I really appreciate Andrew Bustamante talking about. A lot of people think about World War as what World War II was, which was we send millions of troops, they walk the streets with these guns and they take over. And it's like, no, look at what we have done in Iran. Look at what is happening in Ukraine. Look at what is happening in India and Turkey. Not the same thing. It's missiles, it's drones, it's different kinds of drones. Look at how the the last major strike in Russia happened. Was it a million troops from Ukraine marching into Russia, or was it drones being piloted from Ukraine or some remote outposts striking targets with bombs on drones inside of deep Russia.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. We are not looking at the same potential for war now that we had back then. It's not even close. It's a whole different animal. This is not going to be Call of Duty 12.
Yeah. Right. Like same regard. If we had a civil war here, it wouldn't be like we're lining up across a battlefield. It's going to take place in our hometowns, in our home cities with Republicans and Democrats, with extreme Republicans and extreme Democrats, like
And
in
that's
the
the
city center.
And that's gonna be the other part of it too is how are you gonna identify as which?
Yeah.
We don't have a whole army over on the left generating leftist attire to uniform the leftists, extreme leftists together for the Republicans to know who to go shoot. They're just gonna go out there and go crazy.
Right.
What was it that I won't forget that video of that Republican begging Donald Trump to give him permission to go door to door and killing people.
Yeah.
Like he begged for it. He was like, please, for love of God, Trump, give me the okay. And I got my guns ready and I'm gonna go door to door and kill all these lefties. Like
Dude.
that's not a civil war, that's execution. And what I'm afraid of is watching people that have no identification. It's not like they got a blue uniform versus a gray uniform or any of that kind of shit. It's just guys in pseudo fake military attire running around just gunning people down. And that's called terrorism. So that guy was literally begging to perform approved terrorism in his area.
Not
Anyway,
looking
back
good.
to Cuba. So yeah, Cuba is now being threatened. Trump literally just said, was it yesterday or today, that they're thinking about taking Greenland from Denmark. Denmark's like, try it, and NATO's going to be on your ass. And he's talking about other places too.
It's gonna get really ugly.
And this is one of the things that I heard in a talk about the future with resources. If you look at what that guy was talking about, it was a whole video. There's no way I'm gonna find it on YouTube, but he said in the future, as precious resources become harder to get, which is going to be water, and it's going to be minerals that we need for manufacturing, and it's going to be oil and power, nuclear power, oil power, power to be able to power things. Eventually, countries are going to start taking other smaller countries that they can dominate in order to secure the things that they need to be a world power, whether it's energy sources or water or food. Well, Russia's already hit Ukraine, and let's be honest, NATO didn't step in and do anything because they didn't feel like they could, because Ukraine wasn't a NATO country. They felt like they couldn't do it,
Mhm.
and whether it's legal or illegal, I'm not getting into that. They didn't feel like they could. Was Venezuela a NATO country?
No.
Well, then the United States didn't violate NATO by hitting them. Is Cuba a NATO country?
No.
Why is Cuba valuable?
I don't know.
It's a launch pad to the rest of South America. How many South American countries are in NATO? Then why is Brazil not next on the list after Cuba? Why isn't most of South America not on the
Well,
list
we don't
after
know. They
Cuba?
might be, you know?
Well,
Well, we know
South,
Venezuela, we want the oil. Greenland, we wanna be closer to our European enemies in case we need to go to war with them, right? That's the whole argument for Greenland as a military outpost.
yeah. So the reason he wants Greenland is twofold. One, there's supposedly resources that are viable there. But mainly, it's the break point and a good staging point between us and Russia.
Well,
So Brazil is not in here. Right now, it's Albania, Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Estonia, Denmark, Czechia,
Chechnya?
Croatia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Latvia, Italy, Iceland, Hungary, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Sweden, Spain, Slovenia, Slovakia, Netherlands, Turkey, United States, and United Kingdom. I don't see like India or anything like that. So, in theory, major countries could follow that doctrine and say, like China could say, nah, we want to back Turkey to go take over India, and like NATO can't step in. Or, you know, Taiwan's not on this list. Maybe finally China says, well, Russia took Ukraine, the United States took Venezuela and Cuba and other countries. Maybe it's time for them to start moving. They take Taiwan and
That's what it sounds like is happening. They're
South
giving permission
Korea and start
to
moving out.
yeah, to, conquer. They're giving permission to each other to conquer more land.
And people are like, well, that's not giving approval. Inaction can be seen as the same thing as approval. So by us not doing more to help Ukraine against Russia and nobody really doing anything about it. And like, did you hear about any other countries really supplying a ton of stuff to make sure Ukraine has what they need? Or is Ukraine still begging for help in fighting Russia? Well, they're still begging for help. In fact, if you look at Zelensky, he's bending over backwards trying to get a bunch of different stuff other than giving up territory. He's willing to give up a lot of stuff, like his bid for NATO, him stepping down as president, like the things that he can do that doesn't endanger Ukrainians, he's willing to do in order to get this war over. But
He seems like a good leader. Like, he cares about his country and his people.
it's hard for me to quantify that, but I have been impressed by the way he's behaved. But there's a limited view that I have based on the not diving into a lot of stuff. So I
Still a
can't.
very corrupt country.
And you don't know how corrupt he is by allowing it to like, why didn't the general get taken out? Like, who knows? I
That's
don't
why I
know.
said it seems like he is.
I don't have insight into the good or bad of any of that. I just view it as, the world didn't really go after Russia for Ukraine, so it powered Trump and MAGA to go after Venezuela and now threatening Cuba. And if you think it's only going to be two, I hate to tell you, no, I don't see one South American country in NATO. It's all up for grabs at this point. And he could say, well, Brazil's led by a corrupt blah blah blah, and then go try to hit Brazil or Argentina or Mexico. And that's the other thing. Mexico is threatening us now because we've talked about invading Mexico. We've had people that we paid land on Mexican soil with weapons. So technically we invaded Mexico just a little bit. But now that Moderna has been hit in Venezuela, Mexico has got to be looking at this like, no, this is an actual legitimate real threat now. And if you think Mexico won't strike back, I don't know, man. And what will it do to our economy to have the border literally shut down, nobody across the border at all? All the trade that comes into Mexico via cheap labor and then gets shipped up via trucks into Mexico, like the economic impact for Mexico not shipping anything across the border for both countries is going to be catastrophic, let alone all the third party countries that are shipping through Mexico into the United States to avoid tariffs. It's going to be
Right.
a nightmare.
This is a nightmare.
Like, what do you foresee down there?
I don't even know. I think World War III is gonna start because I think we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go through Cuba and Greenland. We're gonna give permission to China to attack Taiwan. Russia's gonna be more emboldened to continue its attack in Ukraine, and then Israel is gonna keep bombing away at the Palestinians. So who's gonna help each other? When we're all at war, who comes to our aid? Our friends aren't gonna anymore. I doubt it.
So you think Greenland's a real target, like a
Yeah,
legitimate, not just boasting?
I do. I really do.
And how is that going to impact our NATO standing?
We're gonna get kicked out. I
And then
think
what happens when we continue to push on Denmark?
we're already becoming an enemy of the world. Like, we're gonna isolate ourselves like North Korea. I see this becoming like a Handmaid's Tale, and the America that is in that show is what I foresee. But I am fascinated to argue with all of you in the comments, especially about Nick Shirley. Tell me why I got it wrong and bring some facts this time. And I'd love to know what you guys think about what's going on in Venezuela. Leave a comment. Let's argue in the comments. I appreciate it. You got anything else, J Train?
MAGA, are you guys ready to colonize Venezuela through corporate ownership? And now Cuba is in Greenland. Are you guys ready to get kicked out of NATO and have NATO countries attack us while we try to bomb Denmark?
Let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time. Peace.